I write things all the time. That's all I can do when I have this much time on my hands. Everyone is dancing with no music and speaking to themselves. I'm not crazy, am I? No, I'm worse. My name is Jack, and I'm writing this from a courtyard of a psychiatric hospital in central Chicago, with 11 people ranging from paranoid loonies to full-blown murderers. The food I eat is a glop of mixture of mess and smells that I'm not even sure is legal to serve, even to people like us. Just so you know, for the record, I haven't killed, raped, kidnapped, or even stolen. I'm here on my own accord and will stay here for the rest of my days. I've had enough of a taste of the outside world to make me never want to go back. This is not just a story, it's the ruins of my past life. I hope in my heart of hearts that it amuses you. Let's start from the beginning. I grew up in Chicago with my parents. I was an only child. I had a great childhood, to be completely honest. My parents were honest, loving, respectable people of the community. They were killed in a car accident when I was 22, and I dropped out of college to be with my family after that. And that went on for around a year when I was living with my aunt and I needed a job. So she worked as a night porter for a huge hospital around 2 miles down the street from my home. So she managed to get me a job doing the same. But we worked in opposite sides of the hospital, so we never saw each other and also had different shifts for most part. So I went through the motions of doing my duties, which involved cleaning, helping assist nurses where need be, and just overall maintenance and upkeep to the hospital. Just for someone to be there between the hours of 10 PM to 8 AM every day apart from Sunday, I think. So about 4 months into the job, one night, almost bang on 3 AM, I was walking down a long corridor to get to an office at the other end, when I saw an old lady standing in the middle of the corridor right the way at the end in the dark. Could just about make her out, but her face was visible through a light shining from one of the rooms, but I couldn't see her body, I could just see her face. She was just staring at me with a look of shock. I called out and said, "Are you okay, ma'am?" I got no answer. I started walking towards her and said, "You can't be out of bed at this hour, do you need something?" Again, I got no reply. So as I got closer, she scarpered around a corner, and by the time I got there, she was gone. I looked for a while, but I had to get back to my duties. Night after night, I would see her somewhere in the hospital, and she would never say a word, but her expression slowly changed each day from shock and surprise to more anger and hate. It's hard writing about this, but the doctors say it will help, and no doubt they will read this, so thanks for your help, Dr. Horace. Anyway, after this went on for quite a while, I started to get annoyed, and then went to the front desk 4 floors down one night and asked the lady at the front desk what was going on about a patient that was around 3 AM almost every night who was out of bed, to which they said, "Mr. Davis will explain everything to you tomorrow. You best get back to your duties," which started to freak me out a little bit. Mr. Davis was my boss. Now, I didn't really like him. He was kind of neutral. He was a big fat lump who always smelled of body odour and had greasy long black hair. Not sure how he got the job. Sure enough, he called me to one side around 1:30 the next day, and we sat down as I listened intently while he explained the situation for around 45 minutes. Basically, she's a woman named Mrs. White. She was a widower of a man named Charles who died in the hospital 3 weeks prior. She seems to come back every night and manages to get past security and wander the halls of the hospital doing strange things. She sometimes can be heard whispering and speaking in a strange language that no one knew. Also, she would sometimes move hospital equipment around and even has been known to roam the halls naked. I said this woman was clearly deranged and needed help. Who knew I'd end up in here, huh? To which he agreed and said, "We will get her soon, don't worry." And that will be the end of it. Around 2 weeks later, I saw her less and less, around 4 times a week instead of every day. So, it was a Tuesday. Everything normal, and I didn't see her at all that day. I finished my shift, went home, as the sun was rising. I got home, had a shower, got into bed for a nap. I was asleep pretty much straight away and was in a very deep sleep when I was woken by a strange feeling and sound. I thought I peed myself and could feel wet sheets, and the sound was like a high-pitched squawking sound. I came to find Mrs. White sitting on top of me and to be beheading a live chicken and was letting all the blood run over me. I tried to scream, but my mouth was gagged and I was tied to the bed. Damn, I must have really been out. It seems strange thinking about it, but all I was thinking of in that moment was that the sheets were ruined. Stupid, I know, but I put it down to the adrenaline. She was talking in an unknown language and the blood was all over me at this point. I started to cry, streams of tears, when I heard a loud bang of splitting wood and the screams of police officers telling her to lower the knife. Me still screaming, she continues to behead the animal and eats the head of the helpless thing, completely ignoring the 4 officers with guns pointed at her head, screaming Bloody Mary right behind her. She finally acknowledges them by turning and laughing, and turns to me with the knife and raises it over her head. Me still screaming as I've lost my voice at this point until I hear gunshots. 2 shots and she fell slump on top of me. It felt like an eternity before they actually got her off me. I remember this distinctly. She smelled of fire. You know when you have a bonfire in the backyard and you smell the burning wood? Well, it smelled just like that. The police officers untied me and asked if I was okay. I couldn't speak, to be honest. I just sat there in silence, shaking and crying. And after spending a day in the hospital that I actually work at, I was in a constant state of shock. I couldn't talk, eat or anything, and after 4 days I came to and police officers in the room started to explain exactly what happened after they checked I was okay. Long story short, this woman was living in the attic of my house and sneaking into the back of my car and coming to work with me every day. I don't think I will ever get over this for as long as I live. The world is a horrible place filled with evil people. In this little bubble of mine though, I feel safe. I have no intentions of going back into the outside world anytime soon. She was crazy, I know that, but she was seconds away from killing me and God knows doing what else after I was dead. It's been 6 years, 3 months and 14 days since that happened, and I'm still trying to come to terms as what and why those things happened to me. I can never work in a hospital again, and I can never look at chickens the same way either. My name is Jack. I'm a patient now myself. All I ask is one thing. Don't forget me. Don't forget my story. Don't forget my life. This is all I needed to have this on my mind, with me still grieving over the death of my mum. If you promise to never go back there, I won't tell your dad. Which they both quickly agreed to. I said I will call the police on him when I got home, to which they both said no, because they broke in and Peter accidentally dropped his phone when they were running out, so he could easily be traced back to them.